Right, correct chain tension. I get asked this quite a lot. How do I make sure my chain is at the correct tension? There's a lot of stuff on the internet about how to do this and all sorts of different methods. But basically, if your chain is too slack, you will get bar erosion. Here is an example. Can you see that? So you've got a huge divot taken out of the bar, and if you can imagine, the chain's running this way, up around here, and as it tries to go around the end, it tries to keep going in a circle, but it basically can't because of this is in the way, and it basically erodes away at this and makes this huge lump. If I can find something to point with, like this, you can see that the size of that is thicker than the thickness of this screwdriver. It's about 3 times the thickness. And this has been a fairly reasonable bar. You can still see that the end, the sprockets are in relatively good condition, and it's basically eroded it away and knackered it. At the other end, you've got another sprocket. Imagine the chain running this way again, around this sprocket, and you also get erosion here, and there is a small burr on this side. If your chain is too tight, you run the risk of damaging the crank of the chainsaw and also the sprocket on this end. Especially if you set your chain up too tight when it's warm or hot, basically the whole of the chain expands. All these tie straps and all these cutters expand. If you then let it cool off, it contracts and you can splay this sprocket. You can also bend the crank, especially if you have a big chain on a long bar. If you imagine on a short bar, your expansion of your chain is less in total than on a long bar. So looking at this long bar, you can see that this chain is too loose. It's bagging off the bottom of the sprocket at rest when it's cold. When it gets warm, that amount of bagging will increase. If your chain is bagging off the bottom of the bar, it's more likely to jump the bar, as well as producing this erosion. The other thing that will happen is if your chain is too slack, is it will chatter on the bar. That will damage the cutters. You can see on here, let's see if the GoPro will pick this up. You'll see there's a burr on the bottom of these cutters. There's a big one here, and there's a bit of this burr is missing. So this has been spitting bits of metal off. There's another one here that's similar, bit of the burr missing. You'll also get the chain, if it's starting to wear in the bar groove, again that increases the likelihood of it jumping off. If it jumps off, the whole of the chain may spin round the back of the saw, and this is designed to protect your hand, but it may be that it still gets you. You'll also damage inside the cover here. So, too loose, this chain here is of the correct tension. What I was taught on my course years and years ago was basically to set the thing up, and then with gloves on, better gloves than these, pull it, and if it just about pulls the chainsaw without the chain moving, that's the correct tension. Pulling off the bar is no good. A lot of people tell you to do that, but on a long bar you're going to have more slack in the chain and more give in the chain, more elasticity, so that ain't going to work. Also, if you've got a smaller gauge chain, this is a 3/8 chain, if you're using a 325, it's more likely to spring back when it's tighter. So if I pop you up here, I'll show you how I do it. So with your gloves on, And with the chain brake off and always moving in this direction, this should move nice and easily using both hands without putting too much force on it. That includes on a long bar. The other way to do it, and I'll show you this for completeness, is that you see this on some still videos. And this kind of works with a long bar as well. Notice the way I've got the saw. I should have undone this before getting it on the video. So undo these, push the bar down, and then tighten using your adjuster, and you should see the bar pop up. Let's try that again. Push the bar down, see it moving, so that's down. Then hopefully you'll see it pop up. So when it pops up and the chain goes back into the bar groove, that's the correct tension. You can do that when it's hot as well as cold, but don't forget, if you stop working, slacken your chain off, especially with a very long bar, so it doesn't retension itself by contracting. So let's check this when we've done the nut up. Put you on there. That's the correct tension. Now, I didn't have the saw in that orientation to do that. They show you that on still videos using a saw of this size and a short bar. Obviously with a very long bar, especially with a sprocket nose on the end, which is heavier, you're going to have to put a lot more tension on it to bring the bar back up. Did you get that? Hope that's useful.